Okay, I'd like to call the special meeting of the Water and Sewer Commissioners together for Monday, November 16th, 2 p.m. And the purpose of this is for presentation of the budget, but before we get to that, if Steve, if anybody wanted to call in, what number would they call in at? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
not okay.
518 376 7207.
7207?
That's correct.
All right, we'll leave the phone lines open. And the presentation of the budget, I'll leave that up to Mike and Steve, however you guys want to do it.
Well, I circulated a memo about this to everybody, which I think did a pretty good job of explaining it at the last meeting.
Yes.
What's changed with this proposal is we've decided to take some capital projects that we were funding with fund balances, which cover work that we really need to do to keep these facilities operational and in good shape. But we've decided to take that out of the O&E budget here and address them separately at another meeting. So we have a budget here that generates the planned rate increase of about 2.5%, slightly under that, Michael?
2.43.
2.43. And if you'll recall, what we're doing is we're using some fund balance and a series of graduated rate increases in order to match our expenditures with our revenue stream. We got a little out of balance by keeping the rates low for a number of years. And we have a planned program which will gradually bring them back into balance if we, assuming we carry forward it, nothing else unusual happens, around 2026.
It'll start, the fund balance will start coming back up.
Well, at that point, what we expect is that we'll be able to maintain a consistent fund balance of approximately 25% of the annual operating expenses, so that we're ready for emergencies, and so that we have some money in the bank to pay the bills while we wait to collect each quarter's revenues. So at that point, we're going to balance the rates and the expenditures so that we can maintain adequate fund balance and cover our costs. And you know that's really important to do because what we're trying to do here is, as efficiently as possible, make sure that we continue to provide safe drinking water for our customers and protect the public health by efficiently collecting the wastewater and treating it before it's discharged. We also, want to make sure that we have an adequate supply and pressure of water for firefighting purposes. So those are some key items that we address by, what's involved in this budget is primarily maintenance and repair. And that's what we're doing all day, every day. We're running the facilities. We have our operational costs, but we're also always working to maintain and improve what we have so we can protect our customers. So that's where we're at, and there were some a lot of different ways we can look at this. There's been some graphs circulated and charts and obviously the numbers in both Munis and in our spreadsheet. So does anybody have any questions or concerns that we can talk about?
I think Mike had sent out a memo about some of the major expenditures. I wonder if you'd talk a little bit more about that. So the residents know exactly why we're spending so much money.
Okay. I keep my piece of paper. Well, at this facility, we have a critical piece of equipment, which is a return-activated sludge pump. This is a pump that runs all day, every day. We have 3 of them because that pump is key to the operation of the secondary treatment process. It usually pumps something on the order of about 1 million gallons a day of sewage from our settling tanks back into the treatment units for processing. So we're looking at rebuilding one of those that's about 36 years old. That's a $25,000 expenditure projection. We also have what we call plant water pumps. Rather than use clean potable water for washing down tanks and controlling foam and similar uses here in the treatment plant, we use effluent water. So we take our treated effluent and we recycle that through and use that for wash down and mixing chemicals and things like that. So we have some of those pumps. Again, these are 36 years old, and we're looking to rebuild if possible, or replace if we have to. We have a project that we'd like to do, which would take the plant drains, which all currently run directly into the secondary process. And that's a lot of recirculation flows from our dewatering, sludge dewatering process and our sludge thickening process. We like to run that right up to the beginning of the plant to better treat it before it gets into the secondary process. So that's an item to reroute our plant drain line. And we have a budget cost in there of $80,000. We have some HVAC issues here that are related to some doors that are old and rusty and won't close properly. So we want to replace those, both for security and for savings in heating and cooling the building. We have our UV system. This is our disinfection system for the wastewater treatment plant. And it uses high-intensity ultraviolet light to inactivate and basically kill pathogens in our effluent to make the water safe for recreational use and to protect people who have contact with the water downstream. And those lights gradually dim over time. So we have a regular program of replacing the bulbs and the sleeves that they are in and the ballasts for them. And so that's an item for $20,000. We want to replace a vehicle which will be 13 years old, a Chevy Trailblazer. And we're also looking at doing some structural evaluation in some of the buildings where we're noticing some deterioration, so we can come up with an estimate of what needs to be done and what those costs would be. Some bigger ticket items which we hope to address separately from the budget through some capital projects which we plan to fund using the treatment plant reconstruction fund, is we need to replace our waste activated sludge thickener, and we also have transformers at the treatment plant that need to be replaced. Again, this is equipment that's 36 years old, and we've known that they have been deteriorating for a while, and we've been monitoring their condition to get the maximum life possible out of them, and we feel that they're reaching the end of their useful life. So we want to plan for replacement of those, but that will be done separately from the operation and expense budget.
Do we make a capital project on those items, Steve, or?
Yeah, that's the plan. But hopefully we'll be able to fund it mostly with available capital fund balances, so that we won't have to pay the debt costs, the interest costs on it. So, those are some of the highlights. Anything I missed in particular, Mike?
No, I think you got all the big stuff.
Yeah, that's a very nice list you compiled for us.
You guys do.
That answer your question?
Sounds good. And then the question I had, we talked a while, discussion about the sludge.
Yeah.
Whether it would be some way we could compost it, some way, along with maybe some garbage. So we could save the expense of using the burn plant.
Well, we did look into that, and as part of a regional wastewater study we did called the Upper Hudson River Revitalization Plan. And right now, our most economical alternative is to continue with the burn plant. Composting facility would, might have a lower operating cost, but it would have a significant capital cost to build it. And then we would have the operational cost of operating and maintaining that facility.
So talk a little bit more about that study and what was involved with that, so everyone knows.
Okay. Well, this looked at the current sewered area that is tributary to the treatment plant, and also other areas that could be directed here. This plant was originally built to serve a regional function. It had a lot of flow coming into it from the old Hvac facility, which is no longer coming here. And we've also, while we've expanded the service area in Queensbury and in Moreau, we've done a lot of sewer system repairs and modifications which have reduced the non-wastewater flows coming in. So we've dropped our average flow down below 4 million gallons per day here. And the treatment plant has a capacity of 10.5 million gallons per day. So what we were looking at was what flows could we accept and what areas would be easy to sewer.
Okay, good.
And also what could be done with neighboring sewer districts to maybe divert some of their flows to our plant, which would allow them to expand their sewer area into their facilities. So we've got a lot of information about that, and another thing we looked at was solids handling. And we had a lot of cost analysis done, and that's what I'm using to base my reply on, is that the most economical approach right now is to continue with the burn plant. That being said, there's a risk associated with that, and that is that we're relying on an outside entity to be available to process our sludge. And that's a balancing act we have to take into account, is how much risk are we willing to accept, or how much risk is it, and what does it cost. So for now it's working very well, and it's I don't think we've had any issues at all lately. They're content with what we're delivering, and we've got a working schedule, and our equipment is producing the quality of sludge cake that they're happy with. And how many truckloads do we send a week out there?
We're doing 11 to 12.
11 to 12 truckloads a week. So,
So I think, Steve,
Yeah.
what we should talk a little bit about is just that planning for the future. I think that's what Jim's kind of referring to. And that's what this study is. And
Yeah.
right now, it's pretty much in limbo. You know, the study has been completed. Barton and Judas was involved and did it, but it hasn't gone anywhere in a while. It's kind of just sitting there, and we're still waiting for some things to free up as far as you know, what to do with you know, with the sludge cake afterwards and so on. So there's a bunch of stuff that's still up in the air.
yeah.
If that came about, Steve would, depending on how much increase brought into the plant, can they handle the sludge? How far can they go with it as far as that, if it did expand?
Well, they're contracted to take a good amount more than we're producing right now, so that's not something that would, I think, come about as a surprise to anyone. We would have time to plan, because we've got quite a bit of additional capacity we'd have to hook up before we start to reach our limit with a little bit. The other problem with composting, which the mayor alluded to, is that when you compost, you produce a product. And a well-run composting facility, either wastewater or wastewater and yard waste, or maybe wastewater, yard waste, and or food waste, produces a good product with a lot of nutrients, and it's got some use to it. But still, it's a product that you have to move. And like I was saying, right now, we're hauling out 10 to 12 truckloads a week. So we'd have to find customers for basically that much compost every week. A lot of material.
Good explanation.
Greater Glens Falls Transit to run on it.
I'll let that one go.
So is there any other comments or questions?
No, I'm glad to see that we're keeping up with the vehicle purchases and renewals with that. I think it actually, in the long run, probably saves money. When you start repairing these things, it gets tough. And particularly, I think it was prudent to go ahead and replace the Hvac at the time we did that. It was starting to, you could see the repair bills coming in. It was time for it to go, as well as the vehicles on the street. The street crew needs, we need to present them with equipment they can operate it. We've done a pretty good job of this so far. We've been replacing things and buying some new equipment, and it's worked out well.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of digging up Bridge Street today.
All the time.
Yeah.
I feel like when I got involved here is on the tail end or maybe in the middle of when the recession reached up here, and there was a lot of hold your nose and let it ride, and we had a lot of stuff going down and no money to pay for it because it wasn't budgeted, and moving back towards a system of keeping up on things in a reasonable, regular way is much nicer. And it just feels a little more secure and like a better way to go. It's nice to see that we were able to move back to that.
So, that's a good point. So, it's the responsibility of the city and it's the responsibility of the commissioners of water and sewer to make sure that we have safe drinking water, and as Steve had said earlier, make sure that we have, safe plant here. And that's our responsibility, and I think that, we do have to have small increases in rates, but I think that citizens of Glens Falls can feel safe when they turn that faucet on, that they know that they've got clean water. And that's a big issue across the United States, and I pride ourselves on having good water, and I want to give credit to, the people in our water and sewer department, and Steve as a superintendent. So I think, unfortunately, we do have to have increases at times, but it's nice to be able to turn that faucet on And even flush the toilet, you know what I mean? I don't have any other comments. Does anyone else?
Are you happy with the fund balance, the way it's gonna be sitting?
Um,
And Mike, I guess that's with him too, which
well, the accountants always want more money in the fund balance, more money in the bank.
More money to
I always
count.
want to spend it to fix things. But I think we've achieved a good balance here.
Yeah, I think it was a little high in, what was it, like 16, 17, and we have started to bring it down. But
Okay.
I do want to really watch it, we don't get too low again. And it was when I started, it was, we don't want to go too low. I like a bigger fund balance, but I understand reality.
I just don't want
Controllers
to
to-
get in the habit of dipping into there, you know.
Yeah, we nickel and dime
I
sometimes.
like the little cushion there, that
Yeah.
if something does happen, we can jump in.
Well, we also have the wastewater treatment plant reconstruction fund, and that fund was established just for the purpose that we're talking
Our
about.
customers contribute up to that also, right?
No.
Yes,
Yeah.
our outside
Yeah.
customers.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah, Queensbury, South Glens Falls, and Town of Monroe.
And that's strictly plant processes, that's, nothing else is, or can be used for that.
Yeah.
So I think we went through the presentation of rates, fees, and charges prior, didn't we, the last meeting?
That hasn't changed.
They have not changed. Okay.
Yep. Actually, there's one small change I think you made, Mike, that you recommended.
Oh, minimum charge for septic haulers per month. We have a person that comes in with a small thing, and his monthly charge has been like $11, so I just want to collect $20 minimum every month to, in
Very
order
tough.
to offset a little bit of sending the bill
So,
out.
so we don't lose money billing it.
yeah,
Small
exactly.
customer.
You're talking more like real small,
You know those little white boxes, the plastic boxes out there, out in the back? He uses one of those for just some parties and things like that.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're talking like motor homes.
Couple
or-
100 gallons.
Yeah.
Okay.
So other than that, we're looking at, again, about a 2.43% increase for our average user. And all the other rates and charges are staying the same.
So overall, that's the total increase, 2.43.
Yeah,
That's everything?
2-3.
For the average
All in.
homeowner, 100,000.
yeah,
You know, it's gonna affect everybody slightly different.
Right.
yeah. But, no.
All right, so I'll look for a resolution to pass the 2021 water and sewer budget, the rates, fees, and charges.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Monthly reports, we have the water from DCK.
Mhm.
Are there any comments on DCK's report? Steve, you have any?
We're working together, and perhaps the only comment I'll make about the water plant is that we're proceeding well with the painting of tank number 1. We painted tank number 2 first, and tank number 1 is moving along, and if the weather holds out, they should be able to finish that in about another week and a half. And then we'll be doing a cleaning and disinfection of that tank, and then we'll be able to have 2 water storage tanks online again.
One question I had about the reports, was you still having trouble with that valve at Wilkie?
Yeah,
Did we didn't replace that at one point?
well,
Is that the main?
there's an old pipeline that runs through the dam, and it joins with a new one that was put in when we rehabilitated the dam.
Mhm.
We put a new valve in on the upper end, but there still is some kind of leakage getting around the outside of that pipe. And we put a liner in there, and may have helped a little bit, but there's still some water getting around the outside, and we're still trying to identify how that's happening. Meanwhile, we're keeping that shut off, and we're using the emergency low-level outlet pipe to withdraw water as necessary. But right now, we're not using any water to speak of from the Wilkie Reservoir. It's down pretty low. And we're hoping for, I don't know if we're hoping for snow down here in the city, but we're certainly hoping for a good snowpack up on the mountains.
Stop a powder run. So what's the long-term solution? Is it that's when they come in and recatch that, or?
We're gonna be doing some more inspection of it, and maybe do another closed-circuit television inspection, try and identify how that water is getting around the outside of that pipe.
There's no possibility of deterioration of the dam because of it's not enough.
We're monitoring the water that's coming out, and what we do is we watch for any transport of any silt.
Right.
If you see particles moving out with it, then you may be more concerned, but what we're seeing is a clear water flow, so it doesn't seem like it's moving any earth, and we're monitoring it.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, our next meeting would be December 7th at 2 p.m. And then our regular water and sewer is December 21st at 2 p.m. Is that how we're going to do it? We're not doing, both of those is what you're on? 7th and 21st?
Yep.
Okay,
And be a regular workshop meeting on the 21st.
that's a meeting then. Okay. So, is there any old business or new business you'd like to discuss?
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I guess I know we've talked to you about leaf things in the past. I don't know if I'm just paying attention this year or what, but it seems like there's just tons of stuff in the gutter. And I know the open pickup thing is around us and happening. But I look around the streets and I cringe. Like I just can't believe we're not seeing huge balls just shifting down the pipe and clogging down here at the plant, or you're not seeing any of that. And that's,
We had a pretty hefty rainstorm last night, and we see a lot of leaves.
Yeah.
We see it, but, you know, especially this time of year, we anticipate it. And when the storm starts, our guys put our screening equipment on in hand operation at high speed to take care of it. And, you know, we know that the DPW is working hard to innovate and come up with better ways to handle that.
oh
So-
yeah, I don't mean to slight them either. What you're saying, 'cause I see them out and they're busting their hump for it. It just there's so many files.
Yeah, there are a lot of piles, and this year, it seems like all the leaves really came down together pretty sudden. So, on the minus side, we've got a heck of a lot of leaves out in the gutters right now, which can get washed into the catch basins on combined sewers. On the plus side, you know, this should be it, and we'll get rid of it hopefully before the snow.
Is there then not too much of a concern of yours that it happens every year?
Well, it's a problem, and it creates operational issues here, and when the leaves come through our process and they come down the sewer, they're not leaves anymore. Now they're contaminated waste. So it has to go out at much greater expense for disposal.
Oh yeah, we're paying for that to be sludge in trucks, right?
Sludge trucks, and also with our grit and screenings, which is pretty expensive disposal. What do we pay for that? You know?
$130 a ton.
Yeah. So how many soggy leaves makes a ton? So it is expensive. It would be better to be able to clean them up ahead of time for us. But we have a way to work with it, and we handle it.
Would it be a significant financial benefit to the process or the disposal to have a bagging requirement, or would that just be a little bit of a pea in a whole salad?
Well, a bagging requirement is more in line with the best management practices recommended for the combined sewer overflow control. And, and just for just that reason. So, it would help us, yeah, no doubt about it.
I think it'd be a tough sell though. But you do see a lot more people bagging. There are a lot more
Yeah,
bags on it.
we've really tried to get people to bag more, but, it's like this last week, they all come down at once.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, what's good for one is bad for the other, because as soon as we probably have a lot more labor, going out and getting the bags. We also had problems with, people getting hurt on the bag trucks and so on. So what's good for one, and, it's a good debate, it's a good discussion, but it's not a real popular with the residents. Obviously, we look at it differently because we see what can happen, but there's good and bad. And the phone rings a lot. So is there any other discussions?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn, a second? All right. All in favor?
Yes.
We're adjourned.